Welcome, my Be Health Empowered family, back to another week of Excuse Me, Doctor. My name is Dr. Melissa Clark. Please call me Dr. Mel. I am delighted, beyond delighted, really, that y'all are here with us again tonight, making this happen, bringing you information that you can use to make wise health decisions, and not just any, random information, really evidence-based, science-backed information that you can use for you, your community, your family, and those you love to help them get their health straight. And, if you're watching us on Facebook, please go ahead and hit that, like button. And if you're watching us on, hit that like button. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm going to get it right, y'all. And to help me get it right, I have to have my ride or dies, my wonderful co-host, Miss Lila Mays and Mr. Wayne Bruce.
I'm feeling some kind of way, Dr. Mel. I'm feeling some kind of way. Hold on. Can you do that again? Can I? You say
what?
My co-host.
Say your name.
Yeah.
My ride or dies, my wonderful co-host, Miss Lila Mays and Mr. Wayne Bruce.
All right, Dr. Mel. I just, I'm a little sensitive today, Dr. Mel. I'm a little sensitive.
Are you? Is it seasonal?
Seasonal affective disorder?
Seasonal sensitive affective disorder. I'm a little sensitive. I mean, what people just see the end result.
That's all they have to know, Wayne. That's all they got to see.
I'm just going to say that.
They just need to see the magic and know that you're behind it. And know that you're behind it. And it's funny that you mentioned that you have seasonal sensitive disorder, because tonight we have an incredible show, a producer's version, where we're going to talk about setting health-related goals for 2024. And in this discussion, we are going to hit on, setting goals to get rid of seasonal sensitive disorder. I'm just saying.
We have to do that. I mean, we have to set the goals. I'm down with it, man. Whatever it takes to get to our health goals in 2024.
Yeah,
I'm with it. Aren't
you?
Right.
I am.
So why don't you tell people how we're going to do this show? Because that in and of itself is a beautiful thing.
So look, live, how you want to do this? You want to do it? You want me to do it?
No, go for it, Mr. Producer.
I'm on today, Lord. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a one-on-one with Dr. Mel, talking about our health goals that Lila has, goals that I have, goals that Dr. Mel has, and hopefully when you put all your information in the in the chat areas of where you're watching right now on the interwebs, we will get to you. But we're going to look back at some of the guests who had really incredible things to say to get our health goals together for 2024. And all these guests were in the past 2 to 3 years. I mean, we have so much
recently
library.
And we cover so many topics. We're going to bring the best of that will help you set your health goals for 2024.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So look, Dr. Mel. Dr. Mel, I gotta say, a friend of mine called me, and he's been having trouble with his wife.
Okay.
I mean, that's going down a wild road, but he can't get to sleep because she snores.
Oh,
and she's not really sleeping.
Yeah. I hear that a lot. And I hear it the other way a lot too.
I've never
especially
heard somebody call you from my house.
Right. Where the sisters can't get to sleep because the brothers are snoring or gasping in their sleep, or being restless in their sleep, and then waking up the next morning with a headache, feeling groggy, falling asleep during the day. And, it could be that they have sleep apnea. And we had an incredible guest that talked about what is the right amount of sleep to get and then we'll go from there and sort of relate it to sleep apnea. But if sleep is your goal for 2024, listening to this really incredible doctor, Dr. Barbara Hutchinson, is going to be the clip that we go to, so you can get some good advice on that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Say, well, I'm rested even after sleeping 4 hours. But they've done studies actually, and the optimal number of hours of sleep that we need is anywhere from 7 to 9 hours. Now, when you are a baby sleeps half 12 hours and they awake 12 hours. But as you get older, it's important to get at least 7 to 9 hours because a lot of studies have shown when you get less than 6 hours, you have a lot of medical problems. And we can talk about some of those that's associated with that. But the other thing to know is that it's a bell curve. On the upper limit, if you have too much sleep, you could also have other medical problems. So 7 to 9 is that sweet spot, I like to call it.
Yeah.
You heard it.
Yeah. So 7 to 9. And some people are like, they wear it like a badge of honor, like, oh, yeah, I can get by on 4 hours sleep. But the problem is your brain doesn't clean itself up from all the toxins that get released during the day. And so I say people who don't get enough sleep have a dirty brain, because you really need 7 to 9 hours for the brain to detox itself, so you don't go on to develop things like dementia and Parkinson's disease and a lot of the neurologic chronic conditions that you hear people get.
Dirty brain. Dirty brain, brain fog, all the things.
Yeah.
And
so
all
sleep.
the things?
Yeah.
So back to your friend, right? And his wife, he might need to tell her, look, baby, you need to go get that checked out because you're snoring a lot. I'm concerned about you. You say you're not feeling well during the day. When you don't get enough sleep, it can make your blood pressure go up. You might have something called sleep apnea. So, as a health goal for you in 2024, baby, please go get that checked out so you can get enough sleep.
I'm not mad at that. I will tell him to tell her that. I mean, it's tough.
Okay.
It's tough talking to people about their health. I mean, people just
especially
don't
a spouse, because people think, well, especially a spouse. Spouses think you just picking on me.
Right. Right.
On me.
Leave me alone.
That's the matter is
You always got something for me to do.
So it reminds me of Clarence Williams III in Purple Rain. Don't I keep the heat on? He's like, you didn't talk about me. Don't I keep the heat on?
Right. Right.
All right.
So where we at, Dr. Mel?
All right, we good?
We're good.
All right. Well, so remember, 7 to 9 hours sleep, that should be your sleep goal. If you're having problems sleeping, go get checked out by a doctor. Now, if one of the things that I find that keeps people up the most at night while they're not getting enough sleep is worrying about money and their finances. And we had a show for that, right?
We did.
We had an incredible guest, Miss Jackie Cook, MBA, who talked about our relationship to money and how having a healthy relationship to money can help decrease anxiety and stress in our lives, which are health related conditions.
Right.
It all comes back to health on Excuse Me Doctor, right?
We also had Dr. Jonathan Shepard on that same show.
Right. We had a psychiatrist, and he's an incredible psychiatrist. So yeah, what you got?
Touched on this. So if so, please feel free to rephrase or add on. But how do you retrain the thinking and value system to course correct that mindset around financial trauma? I know you talked about rewriting your financial history and trauma. Wasn't sure if there was anything else.
Yeah,
good
retraining.
Question, Jonathan. Yes, Dr. Shepard, go ahead.
Yeah. Jonathan's fine. Yeah, but retrain the brain. First of all, it is hard because first of all, people don't like change, so we just have to accept that. But if you are going to change, you have got to first of all have the courage to do it, and then find somebody who's going to help you stay accountable. If you have the courage and you find somebody who's going to help you to be accountable, you are already well on your way. Then you have to start filling in those other nuances so that you can rewrite that story. I'll just stop there, but I think that those two pieces are very important in retraining your brain.
Jackie,
I like
anything to add?
Yeah, just to add on to what Jonathan said is, first of all, there's the recognition that the story that you've been living may not be the story now. It may not be your story. So the first step to change is recognizing, what is your story?
Mhm.
Is that true? Are you living based on what your parents were doing, and their beliefs were formed during the Depression or formed during a war? So understand what your story is and how it's showing up in your life. That's the first step. So if you want something different, it's like, oh, I'm doing that because it's a habit. That is related to this story that I've told myself. This is my new reality. And because I'm calm, I've settled down, I can adhere to my budget or my spending plan that I was able to develop from that place of groundedness.
Wow.
I love that.
Good stuff.
I love that, you know, that advice is around money, but it really is around any kind of habit that we have that we want to change, having the courage to change, then the accountability, and then revising where we got our old ideas from, and then being ready to move into a new paradigm, right? That
Yeah.
reflects our now. And
Yeah.
you know, that might require you to have a mental health counselor. It might require you to talk to other people to help talk that out, or it might just take some quiet introspection. But I think it's a great pattern if we're trying to set goals and health goals for 2024 to think about those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yvonne said, go to Debtors Anonymous.
Oh wow. That's a great suggestion. I don't know what's there, but it sounds helpful.
I know a lot of brothers who lost money last week probably are in Debtors Anonymous right now.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Don't bring up
Right.
old dad wounds.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think I just wanted to touch on like financial planning and that kind of thing is another route, Debtors Anonymous, but certainly our financial health and our financial literacy is super important. So there are some resources out there.
Yeah.
hmm And I think they were also talking about it from an emotional
Oh, sure.
wellness piece in addition.
Yeah.
Like you have to be emotionally well before you even sit down to financially plan. And a lot of that emotional um, you know, dis-ease around money comes from trauma. I
It's
know
learned.
a lot of my thoughts about money come from my frugal Jamaican father who grew up in a time where he didn't have a lot of resources. And so he brought, you know, even though he was able to develop more resources when he moved here, he's always had that mindset, which he passed down to me. And I always kind of have to catch myself sometimes. But yeah, you rewrite your story and evaluate where you are.
So let us know. I have a task for our audience. Let us know if you've had financial counseling with your spouse, because
Ooh.
that's one of the things that goes into. I mean, I can't set my health goals unless it goes along with my family, and my family supports those health goals. And if you're facing stress around money, I think that's a whole different topic. What you think, Dr. Mill?
Yeah, and setting your financial goals with your family, just like your health goals, because that's the accountability. That's also setting up a plan that is going to be workable with the individuals who are closest to you and who are going to be most affected by
So people tell the truth in the chat. Do you talk about your hidden bank accounts with your spouse? I'm just saying.
You ain't gonna get people in trouble.
it. Right, exactly.
It's just me.
Don't
We're not
listen
trying
to
create
Wayne.
problems.
Don't
We're not
listen.
trying to
Don't
create
listen to
problems
Wayne
here.
about
Nobody will
secret
see it.
accounts.
I'm telling you. I don't nobody know you. It's the interwebs.
But I think you do make a really good point. You got to be aligned in your goals in your household, your family, your partner, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent point.
Yeah.
So we good?
Yeah. Oh, we're great.
All right. So I think, we brought up two big topics, sleep and finances. I think the next is, I talked about introspection and going within. Our next clip and guest, in that clip, Raisa Martinez talked about transcendental meditation and the health benefits of transcendental meditation. One of them is better sleep, and the other is being able to be grounded, just like Jackie said in the last clip, from a place of groundedness, work on your financial goal. What can help you get grounded? Transcendental meditation. So hey, let's check it out. Meditation figure into managing stress?
Absolutely. Thank you. Transcendental meditation. First, let me define what transcendental meditation is.
That's a
It's a
great
very
place to start. Absolutely.
just in case, right, in case anyone doesn't know what it is. Transcendental meditation is a very simple, natural, effortless mental technique. It's practiced every day, twice a day for 20 minutes each sitting. That's 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. And a way I like to understand what it is by comparing it to this analogy of our mind being like the ocean. If you think of the surface level of the ocean, it's very chaotic and hectic, right? It's quite choppy on the surface level of the ocean. However, if you're a scuba diver, as you turn within the ocean, there are quieter levels. The bottom is more quiet, it's more still. Same thing can be said for our mind. We live on this very active surface level, very stressful level where we have a lot of thoughts. I got to do this, I got to do that. I got to make a list. I got to find that list, right? Constantly, our mind is very preoccupied, active on this surface level. However, we have quieter levels of thought and we have that source of where our thinking comes from. So when we say transcendental meditation, what it means is going beyond that active level of thinking to experience quieter levels of thinking. So that naturally what happens as the mind turns within and starts to settle down, we notice the body also starts to settle down. So what transcendental meditation plays in stress is that it's giving the body the opportunity to rest so that it can dissolve that deeply rooted stress and tension that's accumulated. Because we know that stress, although often the stressors we experience are mental, physically, the body is what keeps the score, right? It's one of those great books out
Mhm.
there. We experience the social anxiety, we experience constant commuting, microaggressions, right? All of this builds mentally, but the body feels that tension, right? It's affecting our sleep as well. We know stress can affect our sleep. So with the
Sure.
TM technique, I like to, TM is short for transcendental meditation. When you give your mind and body the opportunity to rest, it kicks into play the body's natural ability, which is to heal. As doctors,
Mhm.
I think you will appreciate this analogy. When someone breaks their bone, they go to you, you put it into a cast, right? Automatically, you force the body to rest. It has the
Mhm.
intelligence to heal itself. We don't sit there thinking, I got to fix my bone. I got to fix my bone. I got to fix my. No,
Right.
it's horrible inefficient, horrible
Right.
inefficient. Right?
It just does
Body
it automatically.
exactly when given the condition of rest, deep,
Yeah.
fulfilling rest. And that's what
Right.
transcendental meditation provides is that opportunity to rest so that the body can heal itself naturally.
Uh,
Wow. That was
Yeah, that's
that was
good.
deep.
I
That's
love
good.
that. I was talking to a friend the other day who had COVID, and she was saying that, she, even after she tested negative, which was after maybe 6 days, she was still going to take the full 10 days to rest and use that as an opportunity to tell people no. And, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to extend myself. I'm not coming into the office. And I said, that's very wise because I always say, illness is really your body saying, sit your,
Mhm.
ASS down.
What?
And yeah,
Is
I
that
know.
Dr. Mel talking?
Yes.
She spelled it.
And recover and
Yeah.
give me the time that I need to heal. And,
Yeah.
she talked about that in that last clip, but we face so many stressors every day that we need a practice on a daily basis to give our body the time each day to repair from the insults that it is exposed to every day, whether it's toxins in our food, in our water, in the air we breathe, emotional toxicity in our lives and our relationships, you know, just the fragmentation of our life from having to check emails and phone calls and texts and Instagram and TikTok and blah 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 blah. You know, just all the endless stuff. That transcendental meditation technique has been studied in an evidence-based way and shown to help people decrease blood pressure and improve their heart health as well as other parameters in their life. Better sleep, like she said.
I saw one of my favorite worship leaders, musician Ty Tribbett, wrote something recently. He said, "Rest is worship," and he
Yes.
went on to say, because when you rest, just like you just said, Dr. Mill, you take the posture to
Mhm.
be still and receive, sit in gratitude, and do all of the things that your mind and body needs to do to recover and be
Right.
better. And so that really has been, it's sticking with me. Rest is worship.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So in the chat, our incredible two people. Let me bring up Jojo D. Spruill. Wonderful. Says rest is an act of resistance.
Yes.
Yes, it
I
is.
love that. And Yvonne asked, are you going to tell people where they could go, where to go for learning to relax?
Well, I would say go back and watch that video on YouTube on transcendental meditation. She mentions several resources in there. I think there's a national TM where you can log on and you can get virtual classes. They're in many different cities. I know in Washington, D.C., they actually give classes in Southeast D.C. at the ARC. And so, yeah, go back and listen to the episode. She has a bunch of different resources that you can listen to. What's the name of that episode, Wayne?
That is lowering your blood pressure without medicine. It has to do with blood pressure.
Right.
It had another doctor on it.
Dr. Cindy Nelson.
Dr.
Yeah.
Sidney Nelson. There you go.
Yeah.
Dr. Mel knows all the guests and remembers everybody by name.
Hey,
She's almost
hey,
like
they're
Santa
all
Claus.
special.
Don't ever check your list twice.
She said she's like Santa Claus.
She's like Santa Claus. She'll check that list twice.
I just I need some elves and some reindeer up in here to help out though.
Right.
Today. So where are we next, Dr. Mel?
Yeah, well, you mentioned that was lowering your blood pressure naturally. I think the next place we're going to go to is talking about a clip about heart health and people who have specific goals around their heart health, what they need to do. And this is with the renowned cardiologist, Dr. Reginald Robinson, talking about that.
All right.
I always tell my patients TLC. So if people heard me talk, I talk about TLC, or they'll say, what is that tender loving care? No, it's total lifestyle change. So there's no quick Ozempic that's going to fix it. There's no meditation's going to fix it by itself. There's no quick fasting that's going to fix it on its own. It's a total lifestyle change. And trying to help people focus on doing that total lifestyle change is going to be important. Another analogy I like to use is I ask my patients what kind of gas they put in their car. And most of them like, well, if they have a nice fancy car, they're going to put high test. And I say, well, just put diesel in it. Don't worry about it. And then they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, why would I put diesel? The car says I need to put 97 grade. And then they were just fussing at me about me telling them to limit the amount of carbs that they put in their body. And they don't get it until I say, you care more about your car than you do about your body. So you're putting diesel in your body and not in your car, because if your car's messed up, you can't get around. But if your body's messed up, nothing else really matters.
Right. So
Wow.
That was a great analogy.
I love that.
That thing got you, don't it?
That's the one.
Yeah.
That thing straight up will have you. You be like, yeah, I did.
People treat their cars better than they treat their bodies.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
the mindset that you need to get into, you only got one body, you can get another car,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
the things that we know that we should be doing, but it's more difficult to do it if you adopt that not mindset of I only have one body, I should at least treat it as good as I treat my car.
Right. Right.
Change your
So,
mindset, change your life.
yeah,
Yep. Change. Come
exactly.
on. Come on, t-shirts. We got t-shirt slogans tonight.
Right.
We
We
are
need some
selling
merch.
t-shirts tonight. Change your,
Yeah,
I mean, TLC, total lifestyle change.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
got me. Like you think it's
yeah.
tender love and care. Yeah, if you really love yourself, you'll and that's something that as a goal for this year, I want to totally change my life, my lifestyle change. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
starting off a little rough in January, starting off a little rough, starting off from a deficit, but that doesn't mean that my heart isn't in it. And I saw a rapper, I forget his name. He says, you can tell how serious I am. You talk about being dedicated, and my dedication shows up in my body of work.
Mhm.
And your dedication and your persistence will show up in your
Right.
body of work.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I
Wow.
think that's something we need to look at as well.
Yeah, I think the Raisa Martinez, who was talking about the transcendental meditation and talking about how we hold those emotional traumas in our body, right?
Mhm.
And so sometimes it's not a matter of, how much you exercise or whether you're eating right. Those things obviously matter, but also the way that we manage our stressors in our life is really key.
Yeah.
Um, and so we've kind of covered that. I think, I talk about the 5 self-health actions.
Yes.
Right.
Um, sleep, exercise, nutrition, hydration, and managing your stressors. So we've covered several of them, but we haven't really touched on nutrition. And I think this next clip really goes to the nutrition part with Dr. David Bowman, who's a lifestyle medicine physician. That's a real thing. He is a lifestyle medicine physician, excellent at it. And he's talking about food is medicine and medicine is your food. We talk about there's a famous quote that's attributed to Hippocrates, make food your medicine and medicine your food. Um, does that literally mean, you eat this thing and it substitutes for a medicine? Or is it really more talking about our eating habits in general?
I would say both. However, for instance, when I researched COVID, I was like, well, so why are blacks dying fast from COVID? Why are people with high blood pressure dying of COVID and heart disease? Well, why are they dying fast of COVID? And so I went down to the actual underlying resources or underlying reasons why we had severe COVID, and a lot of it was oxidative stress and inflammation. So what
Mhm.
we have found is that almost all of these chronic diseases are related to oxidative stress and inflammation. So if we eat a diet that promotes oxidation and inflammation, i.e., the standard American diet, we will continue to have these problems. But if we
You
eat a diet that is antioxidant rich
Mhm.
and anti-inflammatory, then it can actually be the treatment for many of the health conditions. I'm not saying don't take medicines. I'm saying that
Right.
if we want to get down to the real reason why somebody has, like if somebody has fibroids or something, they have anemia from fibroids, they're not short on getting iron. The problem is that they're eating foods that promote their fibroids. And
Mhm.
so if we stopped eating the foods that promote fibroids, things get a lot better.
Wow.
Yeah, and he used a couple of terms in there, oxidative stress, but that I just
Yeah.
wanted to break down a little bit.
Thank you.
I think I didn't play that clip long enough because I think he broke down oxidative stress, and I apologize for that.
Okay. No problem. You want to go back to it or you want me to do it?
No, no, you do it.
Yeah, well, oxidative stress, basically, oxygen is a good thing. It's what we breathe in and it helps to our cells to function. But in the process of creating energy, sometimes our bodies can create species of oxygen. So this going back to your chemistry in high school, kind of destructive forms of oxygen that cause damage to the cells. And there are certain um, um, foods and that we eat, toxins that come along with those foods that promote that formation of the damaging kind of oxygen in our bodies. And so that's what he's talking about. And when that happens, we get chronic inflammation. Again, inflammation is a normal thing, right? If you cut yourself, or if you bang your hand against the wall, it'll swell up. Or if a mosquito bites you, it swells up. Or if you get a virus in your nose, your inside your nose swells up. That's normal. That's the body sending inflammatory cells to take care of the problem and heal your hand and get rid of the virus and get rid of the toxin, the irritant from the mosquito. But for some reason, when our body gets out of balance, either emotionally out of balance or because we are feeding it the wrong foods, whatever the reason is, it gets out of balance, that inflammation never goes away. It stays around. It doesn't really do its job of healing what needs to be healed. And where in your body chronic inflammation happens tends to be genetic, what you're predisposed to have. So if your parents had heart disease or high blood pressure, chronic inflammation is going to show up in your life as that. Or if it's ulcers, or if it's gout, or if it's lupus, or if it's rheumatoid arthritis, or if it's Alzheimer's, some of those things have to do with our genetic predisposition. But if it shows up, if you ever develop it, what age you are when you develop it, how severe it is kind of, a lot of it is under our control in terms of the 5 self-health actions that we talk about. So again, the sleep, the exercise, the hydration, the nutrition, and the managing the stressors in our life. So he was talking, and he goes on to talk in the rest of the clip about proper nutrition as one of those 5 things. So I hope that hope that sheds a little bit of light.
Yeah, that was helpful.
And we can't
Good to hear you, Brother Wynn.
yeah, we can read your lips, but that
Let's go back
not
to him.
everybody might be able to do that.
Let's go back to him and hear
Okay.
out what he says for the rest of the clip. Okay.
All right. Fast and abstaining from meats and processed foods and added sugars, artificial sweeteners. Does everyone need to become a vegetarian or a vegan?
Good question. So I look at things as on a spectrum. So if it also depends on how sick you are. So if you have one small problem, you have hypertension only, would it make, with smaller changes make a difference? Then maybe. But if you have several severe chronic diseases, it's like if you're in severe debt, could you make one small change to your finances? Maybe, but you can't find need to make a whole lot of changes, right? So similarly with your lifestyle or your health, a lot of it depends on how sick you are. So,
Okay.
but going vegan is not the answer per se. It's not just saying I'm not going to eat meats, I'm not going to eat sugar. It's also what are you eating? So, if you are eating a lot of white carbs and processed carbs, those are vegan, but they're not healthy. If you eat
So
fried,
white carbs mean white potatoes, white rice, white bread,
correct.
all that stuff.
Correct. So yeah, and if you fry your potatoes, if you are, so it's more trying to be into more whole foods and plant predominant foods. And so by whole foods, I mean brown rice over white rice and whole wheat pasta over white pasta and things of that nature, where you're keeping in the outer hull of the food and keeping in the fiber and keeping things as close to the way God made it as possible. So even if you
That's a
were
good
to
way to
say
think
that
of
I'm
it.
going
Yeah.
to eat meat, that like, okay, well then don't do sausage, right? Or can you eat less? Can you not do the processed meats and just do it less often? Maybe only do it on the weekends or what have you.
So processed meats mean like deli meats, sausage, bacon. Those are all processed
Pepperoni,
meats. Right.
pepperoni,
Pepperoni. Yep. Uh-huh.
all those things actually increase your risk of cancer. The World Health
Wow.
Organization calls processed meats a group 1 carcinogen on the
Mhm.
same level as asbestos and tobacco. And so,
Wow.
yeah, for some
Heck,
reason, it's
we
still
have to pause for that. So processed meats are as cancer causing as asbestos and tobacco. So processed meats are the new smoking.
absolutely. So instead of
Okay.
giving, putting a hot dog in a bun, you can put a cigarette in a bun,
And get the same
and you think
effect.
that way, right? It's had the same effect.
Got it.
Now, it's not in the
Mhm.
same level, it's the same definitive nature in terms of
Mhm.
it definitively increases the risk. It's not like
Got
100%
it.
of
Okay. All right.
Woo.
Let me tell you, you just stepped all on my toes over here. I like the hot link. Okay. But I
So
want to say, I want to
so
say this. Go ahead,
is
Mel.
sausage and bacon gonna be on your list to cut out this year?
Ooh, not bacon is already really not a thing,
Okay.
but hot links, yes, it's a thing. Hot links is a thing. But you know what? It reminds me. I saw something recently. He said, we've just gotten conditioned to eating the standard American diet, and the acronym is SAD. I read that or saw
Wow.
that somewhere,
Yes.
and that has really been something in the back of my mind in terms of on my wellness journey and lifestyle changes. I don't want to eat a
Yeah.
sad diet. I want to eat a
Yeah.
healthy, nutritious
Yeah.
diet. Yeah.
And
But
I
just
also
think
love what he
about that.
said.
Put
Go
a
ahead.
hot dog or a cigarette in the bun.
In
Take
a,
your choice.
same thing.
Same thing.
Right. Right.
And
Different
that's the word.
taste,
That's
but
not
same thing.
him. That's not him.
Different taste.
That
They
different taste.
smoke
Definitely
though.
different taste. That's not him saying that though.
Yeah.
He said the World Health Organization.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
same people who said
Oh,
we're in a pandemic.
Right.
yeah.
And just to be clear, like he said, it's the same definitive link to
Right.
cancer, right? Not necessarily the same degree, but the same
Right.
definitive link. And I also love what he had to say about veganism.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who are, going vegan, and it has proven health benefits, but there is a way to do it.
Right.
Substituting carbs for meat is only going to lead to weight gain. Wayne?
So can I tell my college core
Sure.
vegetarian story?
Ye- Yeah.
So in college, I was quite fit. Maybe not, but I was somewhat fit. And I got out of college and I saw the beloved late Dick Gregory. And this is, he was selling the Bohemian diet. But what he said before that sell and the pictures he showed scared me. And so I was intent on becoming a vegetarian. And while my year as a vegetarian, I gained about 30 pounds, 35 pounds, because the only thing I figured was good was pancakes. and and the band used to tease me, "What you going to get some more veggie pancakes, bro?" Because
Right. Where the fruit and
where
vegetables?
the fruit and vegetables?
Veggie pancakes.
You just ate a loaf of bread for dinner.
But I
And
think
Yeah.
it's go ahead, Wayne. I'm sorry.
that's it.
It's so important to I know a lot of people who just go hardcore vegan, but they're buying processed foods, right?
Right.
Right.
If you're not making
Yes.
your own cashew cheese, if you're not making your
Right.
own bean patties,
Yeah, you
it's a
don't know
lot.
what's in there.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Those delicious meat substitutes.
Yeah.
You don't know what's in there.
A lot of
It
weird
So
was
stuff.
just like I fried it up and it bled just like a burger.
Exactly.
yeah.
Why we were on that kick a minute like some years ago. Yeah.
Right, some years ago.
Yeah.
That thing
Yeah.
bled. I was like,
Did.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is
Well,
this?
I think the key is really beans, tempeh, tofu. Those are
Mhm.
good, protein rich whole foods that you can
Yeah.
use, and nuts, like you said, making your own nut butter, your
eating your
own nut
sauerkraut.
milk. Yep, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
man.
there are alternatives that you can do yourself without relying a lot on the heavily processed vegan foods.
Right.
Yeah, and the
And
carbs.
in the comments, uh Ina Abella says diet, exercise, and love Zumba.
All right now.
All right.
We got a wow from Joel Tate. I guess that was
I
when he was
saw
talking
that.
about sausages.
If that, I promise you, that's what he said. Wow, we was talking about hot links.
Hi, Lex.
Well, speaking of men in the comments, I think the next clip is about men's health, right?
Yes.
And it's about, we were just talking about cancer. There two really prominent African Americans who we've heard about with prostate cancer in the news just this past week. One is Lloyd Austin, the United States Secretary of Defense, who had to have prostate surgery.
Mhm.
And then, of course, beloved Dr. King's youngest son, Dexter King,
Dexter.
just died today
Yeah.
due to
Wow.
prostate cancer at age 62. And I think, God rest his soul, blessings to the King family. Um, you know, just heart goes out to them. But I think, this next clip that we're about to see talks about the importance of men being proactive about their health. And also, I think it mentions, you know, as you age over age 40 as a man, you do need to get checked for prostate cancer. And I think they talk about this in the clip as well.
I'll play.
So your program started off in terms of whether primary care doctors are doing it or urologists are doing it, and how do you educate men on that piece?
Yeah, well, yeah, we also get a lot of men that will come to our program and will tell us, well, I have a primary care doctor, but he or she will only do the PSA or the blood test. And so, I'm hearing, other news reports and different things that say we should do both, or I shouldn't get screened at all. So part of what we do is kind of sit them down and help them to understand their personal risk factors. Okay, like the doctor just said earlier, in terms of your family history, any cancer that pre-existed in your family already, and then we also want them to understand their personal risk, their family health history, and then their environment. Like what are their lifestyle factors right now? What are they exercising? How are their eating habits? So those are some of the things that we kind of help them to better understand. And then the less healthy your lifestyles are, the greater your risk of developing not just prostate cancers, but other cancers as well. And so we want to make sure that men understand that. And I say men, but we also want women to understand that, because from my experience, I focus primarily on the men, but I'm not able to reach all men. Especially when I'm out at some of the community events, I tend to see more women. But if I share that information with the women, they're able to then take it back to the men in their lives. And I don't know if this would be a surprise for most people on the call here, but I oftentimes get phone calls from men and say, man, the only reason I'm calling you is because my wife said she saw you the other day and you gave her this information. And so, it's really helping them to better understand what their risk factors are in terms of developing different diseases.
Sometimes we don't move without our wives. Actually,
Absolutely.
our wives get us to move. So that's with anything. A lot of times men go to the doctor because something is wrong, because they're having problems either with their wife or girlfriend or something, and so they find it the impetus to go check on themselves.
Are you specifically saying sexually they're having problems with their
Yeah.
Okay.
You gonna go get that checked out first. And
That's true.
A lot of men have been afraid of this digital rectal exam for years. I mean, that's just, I heard brothers say, hey man, I'm gonna find a woman doctor with small hands or stuff like that. You hear anything, hear it all in the barbershop, and so that has shied men away for a number of years. But Dr. Nelson, there are other ways, to detect that, right? With the blood test, right?
Yeah, and so the blood test, just remember though, it's kind of like a net, so you just kind of cast it out. So even though we're doing it, and if it's positive, yes, we're going to say, hey, you need to move forward. We need to examine this further as far as why is this positive. But just because it's negative doesn't mean per se that you don't have prostate cancer, or it's not starting or initiating in your body. So it's one of those things where I always like to I like pairing it up. I'll do the PSA, and typically I'll do for my younger 40s, I do the PSA, but by about 45, I'm like, listen, buddy, we've been doing this for a little bit. You see me, and it's that time, and I just let them know that this is for their best benefit.
Right.
So.
Wow. Yeah. I think you covered it. You covered a lot. I was so happy that you were bringing up those issues in a real way on that episode, because I think we needed a man.
I like to shout out my doctor, Dr. Catherine Kelly with small hands.
Oh my God.
Right.
Personal there.
Right. But I mean, in all seriousness, though, I think what he was saying is, or what you also were bringing up, is that, men don't like doctors for a variety of reasons. The digital rectal exam is one of them.
Sure.
The blood test, the PSA, or prostate specific antigen, is okay as a screening test in, from 40 to 45, when you're not expecting a whole lot to be off. But if it's high, then obviously you're going to investigate. But then when you get to around 45, what Dr. Nelson was saying is you kind of need both. You need an exam, and you also need the blood test, because your risk goes up as you get older, and then especially if you have a family history, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing about prostate cancer, and I'm not sure what happened with Mr. Dexter King, but typically they're treatable, and they're slow growing in the majority of cases. And so, unless it was discovered very late, that might be, why he died and from it, as opposed to being able to live many, many, many years with it or get a cure. But the thing is, for men, really get it done, that digital rectal exam and the prostate specific antigen, get it done early, because it can save your life, essentially.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah. So
I mean, just the that impact happened today. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That we felt the impact of prostate cancer today
Yeah.
in
yeah.
our community, and
Yep.
losing Dr. King, losing his youngest son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's today. Just sad. Yvonne also said women don't like mammograms. So,
She ain't
Right.
lying.
She
She
is
ain't
not
lying.
lying.
But we do
I
it.
remember I remember getting my first mammogram thinking, why didn't
What?
nobody tell me it felt like this?
Yes. Exactly. Nobody warned me.
Yvonne, you never lied. No, that
Ooh.
is true. But I think, we realized the importance of it, and we soldier through it.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean soldier through it.
Soldier through it, because it saves lives.
yeah.
It
I
saves lives.
like to shout out. Also, Marv West said the digital rectal exam is nothing compared to the biopsy of the prostate. I've had 5 biopsy and would gladly trade the digital rectal exam for a biopsy.
Yeah.
We.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
note, we got to get off that, because I'm feeling real uncomfortable. I can't even.
Well,
All right.
thank you, Marv, for contributing that. Yeah. But I mean, but so that people know the sequence, if you have an abnormal PSA
Right.
or abnormal, um, uh, digital rectal exam, or, prostate digital exam, then the next step might be sitting down, talking with your doctor, depending on your risk factors, et cetera, getting a prostate biopsy to say, do you have prostate cancer or not?
Right.
Yeah. So, well, let's switch from men's health to women's health. And we
All right.
did a phenomenal episode on being a superwoman and the effects that can have on your health.
Yeah.
I know y'all don't want me to sing, so you might want to go to the clip. I can't be that.
I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, performing artist, writer, mentor.
Auditor to division head at both regional, national, and Fortune 100, or I'd say maybe Fortune 50 companies.
I provide leadership at our institution in the space of cancer and other research areas related to community engagement and the advancement of science at Howard University.
I am an employee of the federal government.
Coach, teacher, executive director, artistic director.
I'm a sister, a friend, a coworker,
a business owner. I am a project manager. I'm an events planner. I am a therapist to everyone.
Try to be there for family and friends whenever possible.
The bomb auntie.
Morning, noon, and night to try to get everything done.
You name it.
Woo.
Yeah. Lila, you have up your hand.
That's you. You are everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wear a lot of hats.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so common. Both Whitney and Shaka had to make a song about it. Every woman.
Exactly. I want to read this, Mel, before you get into this, because I've been on this, like I said, rest is worship and self-care and all that. That is one of my biggest goals. And I just posted this on social media, but this was specifically to my sisters. Things that can be equally true. You are resilient and need a break. Shucks. Lost it that fast.
There we go.
You can be independent and still need others. You gave your all, but you need to back out. You were sure and things change. You're kind, but have boundaries, etc., etc. We get to start taking care of ourselves differently than pouring into everybody and everything all the time without it being reciprocated to ourselves. We get to take care of ourselves.
You can't feed people out of an empty cup.
Right.
Ooh, come on. So we had a guest on that day to talk just how to deal with that. Isn't that right, Dr. Mill?
Yeah, I think she gave some. She was a psychologist. She gave some incredible sort of tips on how to set boundaries for yourself so that you create that space so that all those stressors again don't affect your health. And I use the term stressors very intentionally because the same thing can happen to two different people, but you experience it two different ways. So when I talk about this, when I give talks out in the community, I show some people in a roller coaster, and the people in the back of the roller coaster are, they have their hands up and they're, yeah, wee. And then the people in the middle of the roller coaster are, terrified. They're hugging each other. They're scared to death. And then there's a dude in the front of the roller coaster on his cell phone talking, to whoever. And the point is they're all having the same experience, the same stressor, but they are experiencing it in different ways. And the ones who get stressed out about it are the ones who may have health effects. So these are some tips that this psychologist gives that if you have the superwoman syndrome, which many of us do, how to set boundaries and how to deal with the stressors that are in your life. About all the different ways that they're pulled and 5, 8, 10 people it would take to replace them, and especially for women who have young children who constantly feel like they're on and they have to tend to their needs in addition to everything else. Where do you find the time? How do you create the space for those self-care routines?
I think time is what you make it, and it doesn't have to be a long regimen either. For example, getting up in the morning and having a gratitude. A gratitude would take literally about 5 seconds, right? And it's actually easier to control our mornings than it is to control the rest of our day. The morning is a good time to just kind of set the tone for your day. Again, having a gratitude or just taking a moment to just sit and breathe. You could do like a 5-second, deep breath, 5 in, 5 out. You do that a few times. You'll be amazed at how deep breathing could really relax you, helps you to think better and to be more clear. One of the things that I'm really interested in is sleep. And sleep is so very important. You actually can do a lot more with a fully rested brain and body than you can with one that is half rested. And so that, of course, does take time. We're expecting people to have about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. But just in terms of your regular routine and taking those times out, even if your lunch break, right? Take a moment to just like get up from your desk, actually, have lunch, and even if you're a small eater at lunchtime, take a moment to like just visit another colleague in another department, or take a little 5 minute break here or there. Like having breaks really helps to kind of like recenter ourselves. Is actually associated with more creativity and things like that. So I think it's just a matter of deciding what will work with you in the time that you have. Again, 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes here and there throughout the day is probably more helpful than trying to plan something that's you only for 1 hour and you're only going to do it once a week. Delegate when you can. And I know sometimes it's like it's easier to just do it yourself than to delegate it to someone else, because then you have to train them and show them what to do. But
yes,
delegating things is really, really important. Setting your boundaries and be okay.
I guess that's setting your boundaries.
Yeah, I feel like we've come full circle because she talked about sleep, right? And the importance of sleep.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great place to wrap up this fantastic episode, because she gives us some real specific ways to set boundaries, help our mental health, help get better sleep, create some time for that transcendental meditation.
Transit
You know
what?
what I mean?
Transit what?
All right, leave me alone. TM.
right.
Right.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, let's wrap. Let's wrap.
Yeah.
It's been incredible. It's been incredible.
This has been a good show. Yeah.
Well, I hope the Be Health Empowered family got some great tips from sort of taking a walk down memory lane and bringing it forward into 2024. And, all the wonderful comments that I know are in the chat, the ones that you read out and the ones I'm going to go see later. So thank you, as always, my Be Health Empowered family, for tuning in and for all your great comments and wisdom that you share, great questions. Thank you, of course, Miss Lila Mays and Mr. Wayne Bruce for making this run like it runs. And until we see you all next week, remember, be wise, be well, and be health empowered.